mortals. You're entering the eerie depths of Chokeslam Radio, where expert insider WWE knowledge and secrets are unleashed with thunderous power.
Rest in peace.
Coming to you live straight from the heart of Death Valley, here are your mysterious hosts, DRW15 and DJ Big Unknown.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chokeslam Radio. I'm DJ Big Unknown.
And I'm DRW15. Coming off a pretty huge weekend. A lot of stuff went down. We'll leave it at that for now. But we've got a lot to uncover. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let's just get right into this.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say, just to let you guys know, I'm going through a really tough time right now. Watching Cody lose, and seeing Roman Reigns lose too on the same weekend, is really putting me through a tough time.
Mm-hmm.
So I almost didn't want to do the show, but I feel like it's as important now as it's ever been to, keep bringing these positive vibes out to the WWE universe, because people need it now more than ever with all the negativity that's going on. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's difficult to come on here and do this show and talk about this after all we witnessed this past weekend, especially with Roman and with Cody. But as DJ Big Unknown said, if we didn't come on here and do this show, everyone's out there suffering alone. So at least we can all come together and talk about things and recover from this, because it's a difficult time for all of us, for sure.
Right. Well, we did have WrestleMania 41. A lot of people are calling it the worst WrestleMania of all time, but there were some good things that happened too.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can start with night one and sort of break down each match. And I would just like to say, before we get started, that I believe I got more predictions right than my co-host. I don't, mean anything by that, but I just thought I'd mention that real quick.
Yeah, I do think I would like a recount just to make sure. Whoever watched our last episode needs to go through and make sure that our final predictions were accounted for, and then watch all the matches and make sure that what DJ Big Unknown just said was correct. But at the end of the day, there definitely were some upsets and some victories that we did not see coming. I don't think anyone saw it coming. No. But yeah, there were a few instances there where I was definitely wrong, and while I can't admit that I made a bad prediction, I don't think that it was, some of the matches were totally fair, and some stuff happens in the matches that you can't account for. But that's wrestling, so I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for my incorrect picks.
Thank you for saying that. Anyways, I think the first match of WrestleMania was Jey Uso versus Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Jey Uso was gonna win, but he kind of took Gunther to school with this match. I was pretty impressed. I mean, I don't think anybody thought that Jey Uso would make Gunther tap out. And I think it just shows, we called it on the show that Gunther doesn't really have what it takes to win at WrestleMania. I think the
Hmm.
pressure gets to him.
Yeah. Um, I think we definitely saw this one coming a little bit, and a lot of people didn't. Um, some people were mad that Jey Uso even had this match. Um, but yeah, Gunther didn't show up, and to get tapped out and submitted at WrestleMania, that's a little bit embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie, especially for someone who calls himself the Ring General. Like that was a pretty weak performance by Gunther. Um, Jay did show his dominance, but I thought it was going to be a little bit more like the Gunther versus Sami Zayn fight, where Gunther just couldn't put him away. But I think Jay kind of dominated that match from start to finish, and he showed that Gunther's pretty weak. I think that was Jey Uso doing a little bit of research and watching some film, because he kind of knew, you might not be able to win after hitting your finisher, but he went right for that chokehold, and Gunther tapped pretty quick. So Jay
Hmm.
obviously saw something in the film and took advantage of it.
Yeah. And I just want to say, um, I was very critical of Sami Zayn for, calling himself Sammy Uso, but then not helping the Usos when they're getting beat up by Gunther. But he did mention last night on Monday Night Raw that um, he was, yeah, I mean, obviously he was in Vegas, but oh, what's up, Mexico Hunter 86, worst WrestleMania ever. Yeah, that's what a lot of people in the WWE universe are saying. You're definitely not the only one to say that. And by the way, I appreciate your username. Um, I actually am also a ghost hunter, so um, if you have any questions, I know we're gonna try to stay on the topic of WrestleMania today, but if you have any questions about ghosts or the paranormal, I'm here to answer that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and being a WWE fan and a ghost hunter, is actually those two things go together pretty well. A lot of the stuff with the Wyatt Six and the Undertaker, those worlds kind of cross each other a lot. And in fact, speaking of Karrion Kross is also a ghost
Mm-hmm.
hunter,
Mm.
as well
Mm-hmm.
as Dirty Dominic Mysterio and
Yep.
Scarlett and Shotzi. So, sometimes knowing about the unknown realms can help
Mm-hmm.
in the ring as well.
Mm.
I live in the LA area, a lot of paranormal here. Yeah, me and TRW15 know all about that. We've been to the portal to hell in Pasadena, and we've also had a couple encounters with the Green Demon of
Mm-hmm.
Griffith Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely did do a lot of exploring down in the LA area. So I would love to hear more about um, where you have investigated so far and if you've encountered anything. But that's very interesting and crazy that you're here on this show today.
Hmm. Well, I think I don't really have much to say about this match. I think it was a great match. I think it was great to see Jey Uso come out with the win.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think if you're mad that Jey Uso won, then you might have some problems of your own. That like seeing a guy like Jey Uso get the win, you can't help but be happy for that guy. So I
Yeah.
understand if you're mad Roman or Cody lost, but you know this was not Jey Uso. Might not have been as talented as Gunther, but he definitely put a lot more effort into preparing for this match. Gunther, I think, was just probably drinking vodka or whatever um, those guys like to do. Um, I'm not really. What do you think Gunther does in his free time?
Um, is he Russian or is he German?
I don't know. I think he's Austrian.
Mm. Yeah, he does some weird European stuff. He probably drinks
Hmm.
like the weird beers and
Mm.
like fights animals, if I had to guess. Um,
He's
but
drinking beer, but not like the same kind of beer as Hulk Hogan and
Exactly.
Stone
Yeah.
Cold.
Like the weird European beers. He probably eats like beans on his toast.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, if you had watched our show last week, you would have known that this was coming. We talked about, Jay was fired up because of how Gunther had been treating him and his brother the past couple of weeks, and based on Gunther's experience in past live events, he doesn't always show up. So, a lot of people were shocked by this, but our Chokeslam radio fans went into that match kind of expecting Jey Uso to dominate, and that's pretty much what happened. So, lucky you guys for watching our show, and you guys sort of had a little sneak peek of what was going to happen in this match before it did.
Yeah. Gunther kind of reminds me of the WWE equivalent of Redlands University.
Mm-hmm.
They think that, they're the best team in the world and they don't have to, practice very hard or watch film or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, and they can just show up. But when it comes to big games that really matter, they don't really perform very well.
Yeah. That's a great comparison. I would also compare Gunther to the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of talk, a lot of showboating. The fans do seem to be pretty into it, but yeah, every time on the big stage, they just don't show up. Dallas Cowboys typically tap out pretty quick too, just like Gunther did. So, same.
Yeah. Mexico's 186. But about WrestleMania, it was bad because no Rock, no special matches, no TLC, no Hell in a Cell, no Cage crazy stunts. Exactly. Usually for WrestleMania, they pull out all the stops. They bring everything they have to the table. No pun intended, but usually they do bring out tables. I guess the only crazy match was the Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre one, where they other than that, it was kind of like a normal Monday Night Raw, just bigger crowd.
Yeah. I think in the past for some of those smaller matches, they had they would do a cell or something extra to make it more interesting. But yeah, a lot of those matches were just matches I feel like you would see on a random Monday Night Raw. But the CM Punk match, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, they kind of brought in some props and stuff. That was pretty cool. But yeah, a lot of the other ones they didn't really. It was just a normal 1v1 match or a triple threat or something like that. So a little disappointing there because we always love to see the extra stuff they put in for WrestleMania.
Exactly. I was also disappointed with the lack of a prime bottle guy. But I mean, Logan Paul knows he can't, keep being predictable and bring out a prime bottle guy every WrestleMania because the last two times he did that, it didn't really work out. So I think he, as Triple H likes to say, he made a pivot in his story. So I think that was smart of him.
Yeah, he brought out a drone this year instead, which seemed to work a lot better than having a KSI or an Nitro Speed, because I feel like those guys kind of the past 2 years have just been sort of punching bags for Logan's opponents. They get hit with the finisher that kind of fires up the other guy. So bringing out a drone, I think, definitely helped him, having a robot instead of a human. And then when Karrion Kross showed up, AJ Styles was definitely thrown off guard, didn't really know how to handle it. And I think if a prime bottle was there, that would have been thrown another screw or another wrench into the mix that may not have helped Logan as much. So I think, yeah, as you said, he made a pivot, and it was a good pivot. And we expected Logan to win as well, but yeah, no prime bottle this year for Logan.
Yeah. Although there was that guy who who dressed up as a Prime bottle for a Monday Night Raw like a week ago in Sacramento. So I've actually contacted that guy to see if he would be a guest on the show, but
Mm-hmm.
he thinks he's too cool for Chokeslam Radio, I guess, which I mean is fair, since he's pretty much best friends with Logan Paul now.
Yeah.
So, he's invited to come on the show, but we understand that you're a big friggin' deal, so it's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean, if you're best buds with Logan, you kind of can do whatever you want. So if he wanted to come on, we'd be happy to have him. But that's a lot of firepower right there, being able to dress up as the Prime bottle. So
Alex in Wonderland, this is exactly the kind of negativity that we've been seeing a lot lately in the WWE universe, and we don't like that. So, producer, can you get rid of that comment?
mm-hmm. We'll send one of our interns on
Thank
that.
you.
But
Thank you.
yeah, in times like these, we all need to come together and support one another in the wrestling community, and that comment isn't exactly appreciated.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what was the next match? I think we left off. We're kind of going all over the place, but let's get back on track here. What was the second match of WrestleMania?
I'm trying to remember the order now.
Geez.
Jade
Thank you,
Cargill.
Mexico Center. Highlight was Stone Cold crashing. Low point was Travis Scott. I agree with that. I guess, we didn't really get to see anybody jump off a cage or anything, but seeing Stone Cold hit a lady with an ATV, that was, I don't think, something we've seen at WrestleMania. So at least we got that kind of action.
Oh, second match was New Day versus War Raiders.
Oh yeah, so this is one that I got right and you got wrong. I knew that New Day would win. War Raiders is just kind of confusing because they think they're Viking, or they were Vikings, but now they're not. And apparently you're not really supposed to call them the Viking Raiders anymore, or people get upset. So I'm sorry about that. Maybe from now on we can call them the V Raiders or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand those guys, and yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my worst picks. You look at these big War Raider Viking looking dudes, and you're like, how can you bet against them? And I fell for it, but you look into it a little bit more, and you realize that these guys don't even know their own identity. They can't figure out if they're Vikings or War Raiders or what the heck they are. So, for your first match at WrestleMania, you don't even know if you're a Viking or not, and you're going up against a legend like Kofi.
Yeah,
they
they came out
screwed from
wearing
the start.
Viking gear still, yeah, and it was like, I thought you went through this whole thing to make sure you're not Vikings anymore. I guess they learned how to speak English, or
yeah, that was
Alex and one. I'm sorry, DRW15, but if we see one more comment like this, we're gonna ban you, because this is the type of energy that we can't be having. It's been too much of that lately, and we're trying to turn it around and use our show to put out positive vibes into the WWE universe. So, mods, can you stop highlighting that comment on the stream, and please flag anybody who makes a similar comment. Only positive vibes in the chat today. Thank you. Sorry about that, but yeah, New Day, obviously they're not great people, but they know what it takes to win. They're tag team legends. You can't ever take that away from them. And I also think that Big E is kind of, you know, a bitch ass for not going out there and um, supporting the Vikings.
Yeah. Um, I think I was expecting Big E to come out. I mean, it's WrestleMania, that's the time. But, hello, Lilo. But I do think, maybe he's waiting for the right moment and he realized that if he came out and helped these Viking Raiders, he might have gotten stuck with these guys. So maybe he's waiting for a different match when New Day's fighting some real competition to show up because as I was saying, no, I don't think anyone wants to team up with these Viking Raiders right now. And I think Big E took one look and was like, I'll pass. New Day can have the win here, and I'll intervene when it matters a little bit more.
Yeah, but I mean, it's WrestleMania. When is it
Yeah.
going to matter more? And also, Big E was there. He was doing he was in Vegas doing the um, Slammy Awards. And by the way, guys, don't watch the Slammies. It's a joke. Um, it's probably the worst produced show I've ever seen, and they've done it. I only watched it the last 2 years, but unless you're somebody who likes watching cringy stuff, um, like it's just so strange because WWE produces like these super high quality live shows like
Mm-hmm.
multiple times a week for like the last whatever now then forever.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason this one show, the Slammies, it's always a junk show, as we say.
Yeah, I saw some clips of it on Twitter, and it looked pretty horrible. And I feel like a WWE roast could actually be like a good thing if they put enough effort into it. But clearly they think it's just some sort of joke. So I don't really understand why they like put it on WrestleMania weekend. Like if you're gonna make it a big deal, then make it a big deal. But um, maybe they need to hire a new intern to promote and improve the Slammies because it's obviously not really working.
Right. Well, chat, we'd love to hear what you have to say about Big E. Do you guys like Big E, or do you think he needs to step it up a little bit? Let us know. Um, the next match, I believe, was Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought Naomi was going to win, but Jade Cargill got the win, so congrats. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this match.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I called. I do think it could have gone either way. But two pretty athletic wrestlers in there, and it's good to see Naomi back. But I knew Jade Cargill was just too powerful, so I felt pretty good about that one.
Right. Yeah, well, obviously Jade Cargill has a huge future in the WWE as long as she doesn't get, mysteriously injured and goes off the radar for a while. I wonder if maybe she's secretly up to something. The fact that because being injured isn't really an excuse for like being completely off the radar for like 4 months.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think she might be planning something. Maybe she's going to be part of the Wyatt Six
Mm.
and they become the Wyatt Seven, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. We also don't know who. We still don't know who El Grande Americano is. She could be
Mm,
related to all of that because I feel like that wrestler kind of came around right when she disappeared. So I'm not saying that necessarily it's her behind the mask, but she could be involved with El Grande Americano.
yeah. Well, I mean, Michael Cole seems so certain that El Grande Americano is Chad Gable, and yeah, I guess they do kind of look similar. Obviously, like you can't tell by their face, but like the way their like build is, they look the same. But I mean, we literally saw Chad Gable and Grande Americano in the same place. So,
Yeah.
but one thing that I noticed is we've never seen El Grande Americano and Jade Cargill in the same place.
That's a very good point. Yeah. That's the point I was touching on a little bit. You know, it's interesting that right when she disappears from injury, El Grande Americano shows up. So we're not saying that that's for sure, but it's at least a possibility.
Right. Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of concerned why nobody else is questioning this besides us.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Um, all these other WWE podcasts are so concerned about like what's going on backstage, but they're not really looking into the real questions like us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Side note: we also mentioned that Omos was going to return, and you know, some people were quick to tell us that we were wrong, but we did see quite a few luchadors on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. You know, and we can't guarantee that one of those wasn't Omos wearing a mask. You know, that's what's great about the luchadors is you don't know the person behind the mask. So until all of these luchadors' real identities are revealed, I still think it's very possible that Omos was in one of these matches and we just didn't realize it.
That's a very good point. In WWE, you can never count anything out, and Omos was spotted in Vegas that weekend hanging out with Gunther, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they got something up their sleeve. Um, maybe he was just there to, you know, play some blackjack. But
Mm.
I think it's interesting that Omos would be in Vegas for WrestleMania right after we announce that he's returning.
Yeah.
And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Triple H is always saying, you know, oh, we got to pivot. We got to, you know, we can't, you know, also, I'll talk about this later, but Triple H has been very critical in the past week about um, the media around WWE, and specifically called out podcasters. He didn't want to say the name of our show, but he's saying basically said that you guys should just watch the show and not analyze it. So basically telling us that we shouldn't be doing our jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe, you know, that's right around the same time we announced Omos is coming back. He was ready to return. You know, Triple H could have said like, "Hey, we're gonna make these guys look bad and not have Omos show up."
Yeah, I do think I know that Triple H watches our show. Um, and yeah, I think at this point he's doing whatever he can to discredit us because he knows we're on to quite a few things, and I think he's more worried about us exposing some of the truths behind, you know, The Rock and some of the dark stuff that's going on with Travis Scott and all of them. So he does have some influence. So, and we'll get into the whole The Rock and Travis Scott thing later, but you know, I think he had to switch some things up last minute to throw people like us off of his trail a little bit.
Exactly. Well, Mexa Ghost Hunter says, "Man, what was the point of Charlotte winning the Rumble if she was set to lose to Tiffy?" Um, yeah, not really sure about that. I know. Um, I mean, it was, I guess, pretty impressive that she won the Women's Royal Rumble. Um, but I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that.
Um, yeah, well, I thought, you know, they had a pretty serious rivalry going into WrestleMania. And you know, at the end of the day, she just didn't have what it takes to win. Um, that is a very good point. Um, by one of our viewers. I have also never seen DJ Big Unknown or El Unknown Grande in the same room as Omos or each other. So there's a lot of different characters all around the WWE, and no one really knows who they are.
Yeah, and I said at the beginning of the show that I am sorry to bring this up again, but I am going through a tough time, and you mentioning El Unknown Grande kind of,
Mm,
I did not appreciate that. So if we cannot mention that name on the show anymore, that would be great.
yeah. No, that's my apologies. I forgot that that's still a very sensitive topic with everything that happened this weekend. But that character won't be brought up again.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the next match was I wish our intern sent us the list of I think it was
I got
El
it pulled up.
Grande.
No, Jacob fought too.
Okay. Yeah. This one, I mean, went pretty much how everybody expected. No surprises here.
Mm-mm. This is another one that we called. Jacob Fatu is on a reign of terror, and LA Knight. We just really haven't seen a ton of him lately. He's fallen off a little bit. He lost to Shinsuke Nakamura, and we expect him to beat Jacob Fatu. Like, it's a bit ridiculous, and I feel bad for LA Knight a little bit, but I do hope he bounces back because I did like him a lot.
Yeah. I do have some respect for LA Knight. He didn't take the coward's way out like Kevin Owens. Because Kevin Owens was kind of in the same spot where like, oh, I got to fight Randy Orton at WrestleMania. There's no way I'm going to win. So he's like, oh, my neck hurts. I can't fight anymore. Even though he said he broke it in February, but then did a ladder match while it was broken and then did that crazy match against Sami Zayn. But now all of a sudden, now he can't wrestle. So I've never heard of a broken neck injury quietly. Usually when you break your neck, you kind of stop there and then you don't. I don't know. But respect to LA Knight for showing up. He gave it a good effort, but I mean, everybody knew Jacob Fatu was going to win that.
Yeah, LA Knight still did pull out some pretty cool moves, but it's a bummer he had to face someone like Jacob Fatu because that was just a bit of a disaster from the start for him.
All right, I think we should move on to the next. We can't spend too much time on each match, but I think next was the Grande Americano, and it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but we have this new luchador, which you're right, could be Omos. I don't think it is, but who knows? But I was impressed by this guy, the Phoenix. I thought he put on a show for everyone. It was basically only his second day in the or third day in WWE, and it was already WrestleMania. So that's pretty impressive for him to be able to do that. I think, anybody else would have, that's like an insane amount of pressure.
Yeah, no, definitely. Good for him, for taking this match on such short notice. It was like the night before when Rey Mysterio got hurt, and going up against someone like El Grande Americano. That guy's he's a pretty tough dude to fight, especially on one day's notice. But yeah, you gotta give it up to Rey Fenix for going out there and giving it his all. I don't think anyone expected him to win, but he put up a good fight and he showed some pretty sick moves. So I'm excited to see more of this guy. I think if he and any of the other luchadors team up, they're gonna be a pretty sick duo. I think he's Penta's brother, is that right? So that would be a pretty sick tag team to see.
he's Penta's brother, but he doesn't, you know, he has a very different style than Penta, even though they're both
Hmm.
luchadors. I think it's pretty cool. Like, I mean, the Usos are great too, but they pretty much fight the exact same. But
Hmm.
these two brothers, they are completely different. So I think that's pretty unique.
It's pretty interesting because I think Penta has what, like red and white eyes, and um, Ray Phoenix has normal human eyes. So I don't know if Penta's maybe they're like half brothers, and Penta's also half demon, or how exactly that works. But um, at the very least, it's cool that they're related, and
Hmm.
but still have their own things.
Hmm. Well, thank you to Sydney, one of our viewers, for the 99-cent super sticker. That's just the kind of, positive vibes that we need in the WWE universe right now. So
Yeah.
that's
Um,
that's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, as we talked about, it's a tough time for everyone. So, sending a super sticker or something like that is exactly what we need to for everyone to come together, um, and feel better about what happened this weekend.
Hmm. Penta's dad is Fuego from the 80s. Interesting.
I believe Fuego means fire, if I'm not mistaken. So Penta's dad is seems like the devil, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
If his dad is fire, so that's definitely interesting, and it would make sense why his eyes are red.
Well, I don't know if we want to get into this now since this is WrestleMania right now, but I was doing some deep dive research on Penta.
Hmm.
And I don't know, do you want to get into this now? I did find some interesting stuff
Yeah,
on him.
if you have some stuff, we can cover it real quick.
So Penta, basically there were a bunch of different Pentas. So basically Penta isn't really the name of the person, it's the name of the mask. And
Mm,
basically in Lucha Libre, when you put on the mask, you sort of become that. I don't think this is the right term, but basically like that spirit that possesses the mask, like basically possesses you.
mm,
Um, and what happened with Penta is that it was a cursed mask. So
uh,
the last like three people who became Penta died. So basically,
wow.
like this mask was cursed. Nobody wanted to, be Penta, but then this one guy, which is like the current Penta, he came up with the Cero Miedo, which means no fear, because he was like, screw it, I'm gonna have no fear, and he did it anyway because he has no fear and doesn't give a f u c
Wow.
k.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, basically he became kind of evil. Like his thing was that he would break people's arms, like at the end of every match, like when he was about to beat them, instead of just pinning them, he would like break their arm and then pin them.
Mm,
Um, So he was like breaking people's arms, and then there was this like vampire guy who was like his master, and like I don't really know, I didn't really do much research on this vampire guy, but he was kind of involved with like vampire stuff too. So it's interesting that they would even let this guy into the WWE, but he hasn't really. Oh, another interesting thing is that he previously had matches against Chelsea Green, and he also had a match against Io Sky. So um, I think you know if they ever cross paths in the locker room, that's going to be an interesting scene.
yeah. Well, a few things to say about that. First of all, thank you for doing your research. I know our intern, goes pretty in depth sometimes in their research. So I'm glad that they got you those papers to read over. Um, but I do think that if he were to bring out his arm breaking techniques, I would be worried because as we've seen, the WWE security is pretty bad. Um, I don't even know if they've done their research and know that he breaks arms for a living. And if he
Yeah.
started to break someone's arm, I don't think anyone on that security team would be able to stop him.
The only guys the security team have ever been able to stop in like the past year was they the only time they ever successfully stopped people was Pat McAfee's friends trying to help them from getting suffocated. Instead of actually trying to stop Gunther, they're like, "Oh, let's stop everybody who's trying to help out." Like it's almost like they're getting paid off by Gunther. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it almost seems like they're like it's in their contract to like not actually stop any of the wrestlers because yeah, we saw that they were pretty capable of stopping other people, or maybe they're just so scared of the wrestlers. Um, but yeah, that's why I love our interns so much, because they do all the work behind the scenes and they don't get any credit. They're not out there, um, for the clicks or anything like that. Um, and they looked into those matches between Penta and some of the people on the current roster,
Mhm.
and we're lucky that those wrestlers still have both of their arms. Um,
Right.
so
And also
it,
speaking about lucha libre, there's been a lot of luchadors showing up in the WWE, and there's going to be a lot more to come because WWE just acquired AAA Wrestling. It's another wrestling league. It's sort of going to be like the minor leagues of basically just the Mexican guys. Um, so that's pretty exciting. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do with that, but they did announce a show where they're gonna have like the NXT superstars fight all the Mexican superstars.
mm, that's interesting. Yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Maybe that's why they started bringing in so many luchadors because they knew that this was coming. But as we talked
Mhm.
about last week, you get to a point where there's too many luchadors, and then no one really knows who anyone is, and it gets a little bit confusing. Um, so we'll see how this all works out. It's exciting to see new talent on the roster, but um, you know, I think you can only have so many luchadors before it just gets a little bit much.
Mhm. And I have nothing against luchadors in general. It's just specifically happens to be like the luchadors that we've had on this show I don't really get along with, but
Mm-hmm.
um in
Mm-hmm.
general I do support Mexican wrestling and luchadors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I know we did a trip to South Padre Island, and then you went even more south than that, um, and we ran into a lot of potential luchadors. I think on these journeys, so maybe they'll do an event in South Padre or even south of the border. But it might be, with all the tariffs and stuff going on, it's difficult to work to know how all this is going to work out.
Wiener Warrior, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Um so the next match um was what was the next match? Was it the triple threat?
No, it was Tiffy Time versus Charlotte Flair.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even watch this one, so I don't really have
um,
anything to say about this match.
well, Tiffy Time pretended she was a Barbie in her entrance,
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw the
and
entrance.
then yeah, the match got pretty. I think this is when I was driving home from work, so I also didn't get to watch the whole thing. But I saw Tiffy Time's mouth was pretty bloody at the end of it, so it seemed to get pretty
Mhm.
violent, which is what we expected. They've had beef for a while, um, but yeah, Tiffany Stratton just didn't have what it, or Charlotte Flair just didn't have what it took to actually last the whole match. Um, so
Mhm. it'll be interesting to see when she returns, if she's
Mm-hmm.
going to take another break, and it'll be interesting to see if she looks different again when she comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was like her big return, and now that she lost, um, she's kind of like the Viking Warriors a little bit. Like she'll come back and look completely different in a couple months. So we'll see what happens there.
Right. Um, and then finally, we had the triple threat match. This one hurts me to talk about. Um, the wise man is not the man that I thought he was. Um, and it's sad because it's not only sad for WrestleMania 1, but now it's sad for the whole Bloodline dynasty because the wise man was a big part of that. And now, whenever I think about the Bloodline and their great history, I'm not ever going to think about the wise man the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that's devastating.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw the wise man turning on CM Punk. I think we expected that, but I did not expect him to turn on Roman. I don't understand why he chose Seth Rollins out of the three of them. Um, Obviously, he's the wise man, so he's got a plan. It would seem, but it just seemed like that was the worst choice he could have made. We saw last night on Raw that Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker are now teaming up. Um, so I think the wise man is smart for recruiting Braun Breaker, but I'm sure he could have done that with Roman too, because Roman doesn't have a whole lot of allies right now. Um, so I think Braun Breaker might have been his final goal, and Seth Rollins was just a way for him to get there, maybe. But yeah, it was pretty devastating to see him turn on Roman after all they've been through together.
Right. Um, yeah. At the end of the day, it's like the fact that Seth won the match, like who cares? That match didn't even like mean anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like it's just the fact that the wise man did that to the tribal chief. That's what really hurts me. I don't care that Roman lost the match because that match was pointless. That wasn't even for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the main event for some reason.
Yeah, well, it was still a banger of a match. Definitely, maybe the best match of WrestleMania until the very end. But yeah, that's why it also didn't make sense for me. Like I thought at least the wise man would be turning on Roman or CM Punk if he planned to in a match where that the belt or something was on the line. But to do it in just a triple threat match when it didn't even matter who won was pretty crazy. But we'll see what happens with Roman. I know he'll bounce back, but I think his back is up against the wall a little bit right now.
Right. Yeah, so I guess night 2, we had the triple threat of the women,
Mm-hmm.
which I was disappointed by that match. Um, I wanted Bianca to win, but Io Sky won. Um, I don't know what else I can really say. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just it's tough to see. I think for me, Rhea Ripley, what's happened to her ever since. I think ever since she lost Dirty Dom, she just hasn't really been the same. Now it's just her and Damian Priest, and I think she's lost a little bit of passion for the game ever since Dirty Dom left her. She went from being like the goat of the women's division to losing to Io Sky. And it's sad to see that happen, and you know that can happen when you lose someone like Dirty Dom. I'd be pretty devastated too, but um, I do hope that she figures stuff out because she's a fun wrestler to watch. Um, and yeah, that's all I really have to say about that one. Congrats to Io Sky.
Hmm. Dirty Dom is the best. She deserved to be dumped. I'm kind of with Rice-A-Roni, Macaroni on this one. Rhea, Rhea Ripley was really cool when the Judgment Day was doing their thing, and she was kind of like the unofficial leader. And she even told the wise man to acknowledge her. Like, that was pretty badass. But, ever since the Judgment Day fell
Mhm.
apart, like, nobody really, like, she just kind of feels like all that spirit within her is just kind of gone, and she's just kind of like a shadow of what she used to be when the
Yeah.
Judgment Day was on top, as she likes to say.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and with the next match, Damian Priest lost as well. So that's, I forget
Mhm.
what they call them. What do they call themselves now? The Terror Twins or something like that. Like
Yeah.
both of them lost their matches at WrestleMania. They don't have any belts, not a whole lot going for them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Terror Twins after WrestleMania. But it might be good to have a fresh start for Rhea Ripley.
Right, I think maybe Rhea Ripley kinda needs never mind, I'm not gonna say anything about Rhea Ripley, but I think if Edge came back, then maybe they could try to start up the Judgment Day again because if you think about it, um, everybody left in the Judgment Day, none of them were original members. The original Judgment Day was Edge, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor. Well, actually, Finn Balor is still in the Judgment Day, even though he got betrayed. I don't know what the hell he is thinking with that, but
Yeah.
I think definitely he's planning something. Like he's definitely not okay with that, and he's just waiting for the right time to stab them
Mm-hmm.
all in the back. But I could maybe see the OG Judgment Day sort of teaming back up. If Edge came back, that would be pretty cool to see those four get back together and maybe fight the new Judgment Day.
Yeah, that would be fire. Maybe Triple H is reaching out to Edge right now because I know Edge is, um, stuck in that other wrestling company.
Mhm.
But this would be a great time for him to come back and bring back the OG Judgment Day.
Mhm. Yeah. And also the Judgment Day used to have like one of the coolest entrance songs and they changed it to like some weird thing. It used to be so sick. Also, like they don't do the like 3D animations on the entrances anymore. Like remember when
Mm-hmm.
Roman Reigns came out, there would be like a giant Roman Reigns in the stadium going
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
like why don't they do that anymore? That was
I
so
don't
hype.
know. Yeah, those were sick.
Yeah. But the Judgment Day one was the best because it'd be like and it would be like a bunch of like demon figures like in like darkness or something. It was pretty cool, but now they don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Judgment Day kind of sucks now. They kind of just like are a joke now. They just play PlayStation and get their asses kicked every week. And I mean, I love those guys, but you know,
Hey, rice-a-roni macaroni. We don't appreciate those kind of comments around here. You probably missed the start of the show, but it's a really rough time in the wrestling community right now, and we're all struggling a lot. So hateful comments like that aren't appreciated during a time like this. Thank you.
yeah. And we are um, our mods and our um, interns are not afraid to drop the ban hammer, as they
Mm-hmm.
like to say. So watch what you comment in our and I was not laughing. I have the sniffles. I was out on Earth Day. By the way, it's Earth Day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of Earth Day yet, so do something to love the earth today. Today I went and I picked up trash off the ground, but I think I got some allergies. There were a lot of caterpillars out there and they had pollen and that was just going through the air. So, but I'm not upset about it because if if you don't do your part on Earth Day, you're a piece of shit. So
Mhm.
happy Earth Day! I got a free waffle cone. Wow, that's pretty cool.
But what did you do for the Earth rice-a-roni macaroni? It sounds like you're just taking. Earth Day is about giving back to the earth. I went out and I planted some bay trees, so I could get some bay leaves and eat them and add them to all of my meals. So that's what I'm
That's
doing for Earth
awesome.
Day. Yeah.
But yeah, so I was kind of upset because I ate the bay leaves in support of Bailey, but then she got injured and didn't even fight in
hmm
WrestleMania. So that's disappointing. Um,
Yeah.
um,
I do
Becky
think she
Lynch
may.
is a piece of poop. Um, I knew that in the first place. I was confused why people were cheering her after,
hmm
she's married to Seth. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Becky Lynch is married to Seth Rollins, who's like a legit demon right now. And people still cheered her, like,
Yeah.
and it's like, why, if you're married to somebody like that, like, it's kind of like when Beyonce was like doing her world tour where while her husband was getting accused of like us doing bad things, and it's like we're supposed
hmm
to just accept that she's okay being married to an awful person.
hmm Yeah. And we saw last night. Yeah. Becky Lynch is not someone to be cheered for. Um, I know Bailey watches our show, so I think she may have been, a bit hurt and offended by your review of the bay leaves in a tribute to Bailey. Um,
I'm not sure why she would be offended by me doing a tribute in honor of her, but you know, if anybody was upset with last week's high flying flavors, this week might be the best one yet. I'm really excited for it.
okay,
Um, it's gonna be awesome. I have, you know, something that I'm really excited to review.
that's exciting.
And it's
Um,
not a waffle cone, but that is great. You got a cup with your ice cream and reduced it my waist. Great job. I hope you recycled. Um, thank you for your comment. Bailey does not watch your show. You think Bailey doesn't watch our show? That's ridiculous. Come on now.
yeah, we have a lot of wrestlers who have responded to our Twitter comments and interacted with us. And
Hmm.
Bailey is from the Bay Area and Bang Bang Niner Gang. So I think if there's anyone that does watch the show, it's Bailey.
Exactly. Some of our biggest fans are R-Truth, Sasha Banks, and Corey Graves.
hmm
So,
hmm
um, I think we covered that tag team match. What? There's so many freaking matches to go over. Um,
Yeah, yeah, we got quite
okay,
a
what
few of
about
them.
the Intercontinental Championship? Braun Breaker is somebody that I used to really like a day ago. Now
hmm
I hate that guy. He's, you know, it just kind of shows you like anybody who comes up from NXT, like Braun Breaker was like the one actual like cool guy from NXT. All the other guys were like nerds. And,
hmm
you know, that just kind of shows you that like whatever, NXT guys are weird.
Yeah, I mean, if I were approached by Paul Heyman, I think I would sign the contract too. So I don't know what kind of deal he made to align with the wise man, but um, I think that's something I probably would have done too. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting time to be aligned with the wise man because um, he picked Seth Rollins out of all people. I don't think that was the right choice, but the wise man has been around for a long time and he knows what he's doing. He was a little bit unhinged on the Pat McAfee show. I'm not gonna lie, so he might be losing it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, he seemed a little bit all over the place and a little bit angry at times. So I'm starting to doubt his competence a little bit. He's getting a little bit old.
Yeah, I'm tired of the wise man. In fact, I don't really ever want to see him on TV again. And I think we need Solo Sokoa and the new bloodline to come back and beat the shit out of him again because they're the only people who wanted to do it and they need to do it again. And I don't want to ever see him in WWE ever again. I don't care if he has a huge history in WWE. I don't care if he, created ECW. I don't care if he was like Brock Lesnar's manager. I don't care. I don't want to ever see him again. And he makes me want to throw up whenever I look at him.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if maybe the wise man has a bit of brain damage going on because there's been quite a few times recently where he's taken some pretty serious hits from wrestlers, and he's not even a real wrestler. He's the wise man, but we saw what Solo did to him that kept him out for a while, and then in the matches leading up to WrestleMania, and even last night, he took some pretty serious blows to the head. So you start to wonder if all those hits to the head have started to add up, and maybe he's not thinking clearly anymore.
Mm-hmm. And Rice-A-Roni Macaroni, that's the last time I ever want to see you comment something like that ever again, because this is a time where we need to be positive and negative vibes are not allowed in our chat, and that's the number one rule of Chokeslam Radio. So get that out of here. But anyways, back to Dirty Dom taking the win. I knew this would happen, and very excited for him. And that's okay as long as you learned your lesson, sir. Positive vibes are here now, my boy. Thank you. Good to see you again, Hendrik. I hope you're having a good Earth Day. I don't know if you guys do Earth Day in Germany or not, but would love to hear how you help support Mother Earth today.
I think they would do Earth Day in Germany, right? Because Earth Day is, or Germany is still part of the Earth technically. I think so. I would assume that they would do Earth Day over there, and Germany is still kind of paying everyone else back for some stuff that happened a little while ago. So I think if anyone would go all out on Earth Day, it would be them.
Yeah, let's get Rice out of here. I like that comment, Hendrik. Can our intern work on banning him? Thank you. Yeah, but speaking of Intercontinental Championship, we have an Intercontinental chat right now so do you think if you're an Intercontinental Champion, how is that different than a World Champion? Or
yeah, that's a good question. Is there I know there's an Earth Day, which is kind of like the World Day. Is there an Intercontinental Day as well? I'm not really sure how that works. Dirty Dom is from Mexico, I believe, and he's the Intercontinental Champion, which kind of makes sense because you have to go in between continents. Actually, no, you don't. In order to get to America.
We don't really got Earth Day here. They just say it's Earth Day on the news. Well, even if it's not, officially Earth Day, I think it is important to do something to help the Earth today. So if you see, I don't know, in Germany, do people litter a lot? Because in the United States, people just throw their trash on the ground. So I don't know how that works in Germany, but if you do see some trash on the ground, we would like you to do your part and pick it up and maybe even recycle it.
Yeah, I know it's early morning in Germany right now, so you've got a whole day of opportunity, Hendrik, to do something good for the Earth. And I know a guy like Hendrik will absolutely do that. So thank you in advance.
Can our intern stop putting Rice Aroni's chats up and please ban him? Thank you.
Mhm.
But anyways, I'm glad Dirty Dom won. I kind of knew he was gonna win. I predicted it. I knew he was gonna turn on Finn Balor. Really shocked why Finn Balor didn't. Um, I'm not sure why he's not mad at Dirty Dom.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm just worried for Dirty Dom now a little bit because we called this a little bit. I know I thought Finn Balor or I thought Braun Breaker is going to win, but when you have two guys on the same tag team in a four-way, someone's going to get backstabbed, and I think Finn Balor is going to be pissed off at some point that Dirty Dom won that belt and he didn't. So um, we'll see if and when Finn Balor turns on Dirty Dom. But for now, pretty happy for Dirty Dom. He deserved that, and it's been a long time coming.
Do you think Dirty Dom picks up trash on Earth Day?
I bet when he gets his 20-piece nuggets from McDonald's, he throws that in the garbage when he's done with it.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem like a guy who would litter. I know he spent some time in prison, and sometimes prisoners have to go on the side of the highway to pick up trash, and I bet Dirty Dom was pretty good at that, and that's why he got out of prison early. So
that's a good point. Yeah, it shows you, that he's tough, but he also is tough on litterers.
Yeah. Just because you're a tough guy doesn't mean you can't pick up garbage.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says more about how tough you are if you do pick up garbage, because that's a lot of work on the knees and the back.
Mm. And Carlito, who's part of the Judgment Day, he kind of throws apples and spits apples everywhere, but I think that's fine because apples are a fruit and it's biodegradable. So I think when he does that, it's actually helping the soil, since that it's kind of like a compost.
Yeah, I think it's better to actually throw your apples onto some dirt because then they can decompose and grow new apple trees. So Carlito is definitely doing the earth a favor.
So that explains a lot about rice-a-roni, macaroni.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, meat sweats and rice-a-roni are both going to be put on the dead man list. That's the list that you don't want to be on. Or that sounds bad. On the Undertaker list. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Both of you guys like weird foods and are mean to us in the comments. So, at a time like this, I don't think. I'm glad meat sweats isn't here, but rice-a-roni macaroni is almost just as bad, I would say.
We need more positive vibes in the chat, I think, to kind of balance that out. But anyways, I think the final match was the main event, right? Or no, we still haven't talked about Logan Paul.
We have the Randy Orton match, which was real quick, and then the
Oh
Logan
yeah.
Paul.
Randy Orton was, I personally thought he was going to fight Aisha Speed just because they have that history, but that didn't happen. Joe Hendry, which I was actually excited to see Joe Hendry like about a year ago. I didn't really like him, but when he showed up in the Royal Rumble, he didn't back down. He even faced off against Roman Reigns, so he really gained my respect. Seeing him in the Royal Rumble, he looked like he belonged with those guys there. So I was excited to see him in WrestleMania going up against the Viper, even though I was not expecting him to win, but it was cool to see him in that, getting that opportunity.
Yeah, I think he's got a pretty tough gig, because his thing is say his name and he appears, and obviously someone there said Joe Hendry, and then he had to appear, and it just happened to be against Randy Orton. So that kind of sucks. But I do think that respect for him for going out there and facing off against the legend killer Randy Orton, something that even Kevin Owens couldn't do. He ate a couple RKO's, but you're facing Randy Orton at WrestleMania, so that's expected. And respect to the guy 100%. He's, as DJ Big Unknown said, he's faced off against Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. So the way to become the best is to face off against the best. So, he didn't have any like practice matches against Ilya Dragunov or Kale Dixon or something. He's going after the big guns, and I gotta respect.
I forgot about Kale Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that guy probably is. He's probably got like, I don't know. I mean, Braun Breaker pretty much ended his career, I think. We haven't seen him since.
No. Yeah, he almost died in that ring right there, and they had to help
I think
him out,
Triple
and
H
he
is
still
kind
had
of
come
trying
back.
to hope people forgot about Kale Dixon. But thank you, Sydney. We got another 99-cent super sticker. That's awesome. Thank you that's like super positive vibes. So that's what we all needed right now. Thank you. And Hendrick says W Sydney. Yeah, let's get some W's for Sydney. Blue Bolt Sports Observer in Politics. SMDH, which I think means shaking my darn head. So you all thinking WWE gonna go all in on Jade Cargill over Bianca Belair despite Bianca having 100 times better match? I think it's BS. Yeah, well, I think, Bianca Belair, I think, is still better than Jade Cargill, but it's fun to have somebody new. Like Bianca has already fought like everybody there is to fight, beaten everybody there is to beat. So it's kind of fun to root for somebody new, and eventually they're gonna fight each other, and it's gonna be awesome, I think. But Jade Cargill is confusing to me. I mentioned this earlier. She got hurt, and it doesn't really make sense because she went hurt and just like went off the grid for like 4 months and didn't even tell Bianca. Like she could have called or texted her that like, hey, it was Naomi, you hurt me, but she didn't. So there's something weird going on with her. And I think maybe on SmackDown we'll see something happen on Friday. But yeah. That's what I got to say.
Yeah.
Shadow play. Hey, from Ireland. Oh, see, now our chat is even more intercontinental. That's awesome.
Intercontinental. There we go. Shout out Sheamus. We love Sheamus on here.
Yeah.
And we love.
We don't
Irish.
like Becky Lynch anymore, though. We don't
No.
like Becky Lynch.
And we love Hornswoggle. He also might have been at WrestleMania. As we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of luchadors in the WWE right now, and we can't verify their true identities. So we're thinking that maybe Hornswoggle was behind the El Grande Americano mask.
Right. Mods, can you please delete that comment? I don't. As I mentioned, I'm having a bad couple of days, and I really don't want to talk about that guy. Anyone who faces Randy and or Roman with that attitude deserves to have some respect put on their name. Yeah, I like that. And, Joe Hendry, there's one thing having like confidence going against a legend like Randy Orton, and he did it the right way. Like CM Punk, he's going up against Roman Reigns, and he's doing it with confidence, but it's like a fake confidence, like it's like, oh, I'm gonna beat Roman's ass, blah blah blah. I'm the best in the world. It's clobbering time, and it's like, bro, you don't actually think you're gonna beat Roman. Stop. Like you can just say, okay, I'm going to give it my best shot, but he's probably going to beat me, but I'm going to fight this guy with confidence and give it my best. That's a respectable way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Joe Hendry doesn't even get on the mic. He just shows up when no one expects it, and he gives it his best shot, and he doesn't care who's in the ring against him. That's the sign of he's going to be a legend one day in the WWE. Mark our words.
Right. Jade is not good enough to feud with Bianca. Come on now. I don't want Bianca on the ring with Jade. I mean, that's fair. I don't think they're going to fight anytime soon. I'm just saying maybe if Jade gets better and I think Bianca is older. I mean, they both seem about the same age, but Bianca's been through a lot more than Jade, so she's
Mm-hmm.
gonna start getting worn out soon. Maybe. I mean, I'd like to see her get better, but I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think there would be a time where they would be more even matched in the future, and I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, Jade hasn't been in the WWE for too long, I think, right? I don't remember exactly when she came in, but I think she's still got a lot of potential. So we'll see what happens with that.
And shout out to Finley as well. He was always the GOAT coming in with the shillelagh to help out our boy Hornswoggle. So he was there for him in some tough times, but um, he was he's one of the Irish GOATs, in my opinion. The bad attitude of the macaroni guy is just annoying. Yeah, I think macaroni guy would have been a good superstar in the attitude era.
Yeah, I just think that with all that happened this weekend, we can't handle too much hatred right now. Everyone's pretty fragile. So
I'm just gonna start ignoring those comments as best as I can. But pretty upset with the intern right now. Anyway, I think we can get on to this main event. Oh, wait, we got to talk about our boy, Mr. Prime, Logan Paul. Well, we already kind of talked about him earlier, but we already covered that match. You got to rewind and listen to us talk about the drone and stuff.
Yeah, I do think we mentioned last week. One of the most devastating moves in the WWE of all time is the pulverizer, and he brought that out, and AJ Styles was done for. So, we called it, and if you were a watcher of our channel and you were watching that match, you would have known when that match was over as soon as that move was hit. So, shout out Logan and shout out the pulverizer.
Exactly. And Logan Paul's got a new TV show called Paul American. So I haven't watched it yet, but I'm excited to binge that as soon as possible. I got to watch Andor first, but excited to see what Logan's got going on his new show. And maybe we'll get to see some more insights into his career. But I know that's probably going to be what is it, an Emmy Award winner? I think it will be.
Yeah. It'll win some awards.
But yeah, would like to say High Flying Flavors is coming up, and I think it might be the best episode yet. I'm really excited. But once we go, let's talk about the main event, and then we can get into it.
Okay. Yeah, we had a lot of different theories about what was going to happen in the main event. And we thought The Rock was going to show up and there was going to be some dark magic. And I think there still may have been, as we talked about, it was more than just wrestling. And, at the end of the day, somehow Cody lost. That's nice of Rice-A-Roni Macaroni to apologize
Right.
Mhm.
I think like obviously the match was not that great to watch. But it could have gone a lot worse. If The Rock was there and they actually did a sacrifice of Cody Rhodes, which seemed like that's what they were gonna do, talking about their soul, having Travis Scott there. Um, I don't really wanna get into, the negative vibes right now, but
Mhm.
I think once Travis Scott showed up, everybody was expecting The Rock to follow. Um,
Mhm.
and, especially following up what happened for last year's main event at WrestleMania when it was, like, basically just chaos. Like, the fact that they wouldn't, you know, the fact that The Rock wouldn't show up for that match that he's actually, like, directly involved with was kinda weird, and I saw he was on the Pat McAfee show today, sort of making a bunch of excuses for why he didn't
Mhm.
show up, but I think it's really because The Undertaker was there, and
Yeah.
he was kinda trying to, because basically they did the WWE Hall of Fame on Friday night, and The Undertaker was there. So, I think The Rock knew that Undertaker was in Vegas, so I'm just gonna stay away from that, and, um, I appreciate The Undertaker to being there. Um, Travis Scott isn't afraid of The Undertaker, though, and he apparently that's all John Cena needed to beat Cody Rhodes.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, that just shows the experience of John Cena. That's his 17th world title, the most all time, and all he needed was, a rapper to help him win that match. And Travis Scott didn't even really do anything. He got hit with the crossroads, and that was that. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, last year at WrestleMania, as you were saying, Cody needed just about every legend ever to show up and help him out. Um, and where were they all this year? Maybe everyone was waiting for The Rock to show up because everyone wanted a piece of The Rock. Um, or maybe everyone just loved John Cena more. But whatever it was, you know, John John knew how to get it done, and now Randy Orton's already going after him one day into the title. So um, I'm pretty
Mhm.
I'm pretty fired up for that match, to say the least, because um, if anyone can take John Cena, it's going to be Randy Orton.
Right. Um, yeah, I'm super excited. Um, yeah. So, I mean, is there anything else you wanna talk about WrestleMania?
No, I mean at the end of the day, um, we kind of talked about it a little bit that Cody doesn't really have any. He didn't really have any friends in the WWE. He didn't make any friends while he was champion over the past year. So we'll see what happens with him now. But no one showed up to help him out at WrestleMania, and I don't think anyone expected him to lose to an old guy like John Cena. But you know, John John did it, and that's that. And Cody's gonna have to
Mhm.
figure out what to do now.
Yeah, well, I really wanna get into this high flying flavors. I'm, like, super excited, but
Okay.
our intern is telling me that we have a video that we should play first, so he wants to get our reaction, so,
Okay.
um, I'll go ahead and play that.
What's up, amigos? It's El Unknown Grande. Back at it again with another episode of my show, High Flying Flavors. This is a show where we got lots of different flavors from across the menu, and we're going to be trying them and giving them a review that only El Unknown Grande can give you. So, today for our flavor, we got the new Prime flavor. It's Future Freeze. I'm not that big of a fan of Prime. I don't think it's that good, but let's go ahead and try it. I need another sip. It's alright, I guess. I think it would be better with some tequila in it. But anyways, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if you watched the episode that he was on. I know you were caught up with a lot of extra stuff, but he did a high flying flavors segment, and I didn't know whether to stop him or not, because he just got into it and took it like his own, and now he's making appearances when he's not even here, doing high flying flavors. So I'll let you comment on that if you're even in the right mindset to be able to do that.
That was extremely disrespectful. I thought one thing the luchadors were known for is respect, and that was, I feel, extremely disrespected. High Flying Flavors has sort of always been, like my baby, sort of like my part of the show, and for him to try to take that over, and the fact that he reviewed the new Prime, which is what I was about to review, now I can't even do it. And he didn't even do it right. He rated it on stars, which you're supposed to put it on the cutting board, which is BS. He didn't even do it right. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed at the intern for playing that video, but it is good to know about, and I'm gonna be on the lookout for this guy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm having trouble processing what I just watched.
I will say, DJ Big Unknown, be careful, because these luchadors can be ruthless, and if he's drinking Prime with tequila in it, I don't know what he's capable of, because that's a dangerous combo right there, and could result in some serious injuries to himself or others if he's not careful.
Rice-A-Roni and macaroni, I think that's a good idea. I think we need to, maybe next show or in a couple weeks. If we don't have a guest next show, I think maybe we could interview people to be our next intern. That might be a good idea. But yeah, if Rice becomes an intern, I'm out of here. I don't think he will be, but we do want to give everyone a fair shot, unlike Triple H.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
we don't need a resume. Anybody could just do a resume with AI nowadays, so it's pretty much useless to have a resume, but we're just going to do interviews, I think. If that's fine with you, DRW15.
Yeah, no, our current intern just sent in a resume, and I'm pretty sure it was made by ChatGPT, but as an up and coming podcast now, we've got a lot more fans and outreach, and I think we'll have to do some in-person interviews, because our current intern just isn't cutting it, and we've made a couple requests this show about keeping things positive, and then our intern plays that video for everyone. And if our chat's making inappropriate comments, that's one thing, but our intern, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, Hendrik, we'd love to have you apply. And we'll give out the details next week on how to apply to be an intern, and we might do some interviews on the show.
Yeah, I think we could do some interviews, or have them send in some videos of them explaining why they should be an intern.
Right.
And we could review them on the show.
Well, I'm worried to look at these, but our intern does have some other clips to play.
Okay.
Should we watch them?
Yeah, we'll give our intern a chance to redeem themselves. I do believe in at a time like this, in forgiveness. So
okay,
we'll see what they've what else they've picked out for our show tonight.
What's up, amigos? It's El Unknown Grande. Back at it again with another.
I think
So is our intern just El Unknown Grande, or are they best buds? I mean, I was a little shocked when I logged in a couple weeks ago and saw El Unknown Grande, and I have never seen our intern's face before, but it seems like a bit much, you know. I don't know if our intern's trying to send us a message or what the deal is here, but you know, at a time like this, our intern is a bit out of control, to say the least.
is he editing videos for him?
It looked like it. It looked just like some of our TikToks that we have our intern edit. So
All right. Well, we'll give him one more chance. I think he accidentally played that one or something. That was disrespectful though. But
don't let me down easy. If you're gonna leave me, baby, go and leave me all the way. Don't ask for all your things back, cussing out my name, yeah, just to go and take back what you say. Burn all the bridges, don't ask forgiveness, walk away like I'm someone you hate. Don't let me down easy. If you're gonna leave me, baby, go and leave me all the way.
If it's over, it's over. So
hell yeah.
all right. Well, that definitely helped redeem him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you can see, I was actually just wearing my Chokeslam Radio 25-cent shirt, so that's pretty cool. Our intern pulled through there for sure. That's exactly the vibes we need at a time like this.
Yeah, that's just the kind of thing I needed to watch, and that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That comment is not appreciated. I think he's saying he's got 2 more videos for us.
Okay.
You want to pop in? You want to pop in here?
Yeah. What's up, guys?
Yes. This is my friend Finn.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I would expect from 2 guys who don't have a belt, you know. I have nothing more to say about that, but you know, I can't. You know, I'm not going to say I'm surprised by the people that appeared in that video.
Yeah, they were both 2 guys who didn't have a great weekend. I don't know if that video was taken before. I'm guessing probably before WrestleMania, but kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Finn Balor, if he leaves the Judgment Day, he might, you know, start dressing up like an animal and join the Wyatt Six with those guys who also dress up like animals.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Finn Balor used to be a demon, and now he's pretending to be a cat. So I'm not sure if this is all connected or what's going on here. But he's clearly also having a bit of an identity crisis.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like Hendrick's thought on this. It's just 2 guys having fun. There's no reason for us to, you know, be negative about that. So shout out to those guys.
Yeah, I do enjoy a good Snapchat filter here and there. And at least they're not sitting there crying about their loss like Drew McIntyre does every time he loses.
Mm-hmm. I think we have one more video from the intern.
Come here to speak. I came here to fucking kick your ass. And if I need to kick your ass, I won't just do it to do it. I'll do it to take your fucking title from you.
You know what, Ace? If you want your damn title match, you got it. Because unlike you, unlike a lot of people I have unwavering confidence. You want to come out here and call me a one-trick pony when all I've done is diversify my moveset and become more versatile, not only in that ring, but on this mic, as I am the only two-time BCW champion in this company. And this reign has already over doubled what my last reign was. Because you see, Maxwell Reeves, he doesn't need friends. He doesn't need allies. Because all I've ever needed was my damn self.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I want to apologize for the bad language. I didn't screen these videos. Our intern knows better than to send us videos with bad language, so apologies to anybody who heard that. But that was pretty intense. You know, some people think of pro wrestling as just the WWE universe, but there's also a lot of other wrestling universes out there, including the BCW universe.
Yeah, the BCW. Shout out to those guys. And you know, a lot of the guys we've looked at on our podcast end up making it big. You know, we're kind of like Hoopify in that way, where we find the young generational talents. Maybe even before Triple H has. You know, I don't think that guy's always doing his research. So, shout out to the BCW and those guys for putting in the work.
We have a question from a viewer who sent in an image from the Discord. And it's, you think my grandpa would be a good wrestler? Sent a picture of him in the general Discord channel. Yeah, I mean, he looks pretty shredded. I don't know. It looks like it could be a AI or a Photoshop, though. That's what I'm a little bit worried about.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now, but it's hard to tell nowadays what's real and what's AI. So be careful, Hendrik. If unless you took that picture personally of your grandpa, it may or may not be digitally edited or artificial intelligence. So I'm not saying it is or it's not him. I'm just saying be careful.
Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of all I had for the show today. I guess we'll see what happens next in the WWE universe. I don't know if John Cena is going to actually ruin wrestling, but I feel like it would be kind of hard not to ruin wrestling at this point because it already kind of seems ruined from the wise man.
Yeah, I don't really know what John's got up his sleeve, but I feel like as long as John Cena's around, wrestling will be okay. The only thing he could do to ruin wrestling would be to just retire. But you know, it seems like Randy Orton's already taken a stab at the belt, so whatever's coming next in the WWE, I think will be exciting to say the least.
Right. And it seems pretty clear that Roman Reigns has his work cut out for him. Going forward, you know, he's going up against this new faction that's forming with the Wise Man and Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. But what do you think is next for Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know. You know, he might have to go back to his Gold Dust days, because it seems like John Cena is already moving on to bigger and better things. Maybe, you know, Seth Rollins always just shows up and tries to beef with everyone. So maybe Cody can beef with Seth Rollins, but that's not the guy I would want to target right now because he's got no belt and he's also got Braun Breaker and the Wise Man in his corner. So You could go after Dirty Dom, but Dirty Dom's kind of an up and coming fighter right now. I wouldn't want to face him. So, not a lot of options for Cody. He might pull a Kevin
Right.
Owens and fake a neck injury.
Right. There's actually one more thing I wanted to bring up that's a little bit disturbing. And let's see if the intern can pull it up. He just reminded me. Let's see if he can get this to work. It's an image. No, he's not gonna get it. Maybe we'll discuss it next week. But it has to do with a guy I don't even really want to talk about right now anyway. Okay, wait. I think I have it. Yeah. I got it. I mean, the intern just sent it to me. But here we go. So as we know, WWE just acquired AAA, the Luchador wrestling company, and they put out this advertisement for Worlds Collide. But I thought it was interesting, the mask that's on this logo. Does that remind you of anybody?
Hold on, I'm not able to see it. Give me just a moment. It's not working on my view
here.
here.
Can you see it?
No, I think I might have to pull it up on my computer. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but I just seen the news.
This is why we need a new intern. Hendrik, I agree.
Maybe text me it and I'll just pull it up that way, but I can't see it on our stream.
Really? Let me find it. This is why we need a new intern. I hope we don't have to hire meat sweats. Here, I'll get it. Images. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna text it to you. Copy. Paste. So I'm sending you the logo that WWE put out for this Worlds Collide. And I want you to let me know if that mask reminds you of anybody.
Is this the official logo?
Yeah.
Wow. I do believe I've seen that mask before. I can't exactly put my finger on where I've seen it before. But have you seen that mask before?
Well, it reminds me of somebody who's trying to. Let me see if I can send a picture to you of the person who I think it is.
Yeah, I can say that mask is is familiar.
That's a little bit concerning.
Yeah. And with the WWE hiring all these new luchadors, it's interesting that they picked this mask design for Worlds Collide.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I don't really have anything else to talk about, but obviously, especially after seeing that, there's a lot that could happen in the next couple of weeks. And get ready for the next show because we will be interviewing for who's going to be our next intern.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get a guest, we might have to delay those interviews, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a
We'll
little
see
bit
what
concerned
happens.
about how that goes, but yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Our intern made a few mistakes, and this is not the week to be messing up. So our intern can always reapply too, which is the great part.
Mhm.
They'll definitely be considered in this process, but as of right now, we'll keep you guys informed on the process for finding a new intern for Chokeslam Radio.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching. And also, I forgot to announce we're on Twitch now. So if you guys like watching Twitch, we are streaming Twitch at I think it's just Chokeslam Radio with no space. So thanks everybody for watching. Keep chokeslamming, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this bone-chilling journey through the world of WWE. Join us next time on your favorite podcast app or live Tuesday nights on YouTube, Instagram, and X. As the final bell tolls, remember to stay tuned for more spine-tingling tales from the crypt. Chokeslam that button and subscribe. Check out srotu.org. NTRW15 on YouTube, or else. Until next time, may the power of the dead man be with you. Rest in peace.